So President Trump announced a 10% tariff, or an additional 10% tariff on Canadian goods that are not covered under FUSMA or USMCA going into the United States. And that was because of the ad that province of Ontario had out there during the World Series games over the weekend. And just prior to that, it was an ad that talks about how protectionism is not good. It actually showcases former President Ronald Reagan making a speech talking about how tariffs don't work. They may work initially, but over the long term, they don't work. Protectionism does not work. President Reagan was a free trader, and these ads clearly showcase this. Well, when President Trump heard about these ads, it didn't really go too well, and asked Canada to pull the ads. Canada was slow to pull them, and they announced a 10% tariff on our goods going into the U.S. So, unfortunately, I've been asked about this. Unfortunately, it had a bit of a negative effect. But asking, Premier Ford, he thinks it had the actual effect that it had on perhaps government, Republicans, and the people in the United States. He thinks it actually had a good impact and the impact that they actually wanted. So we'll have to see how things go. Right now, all negotiations between Canada and the U.S. are called off. Canada, according to Prime Minister, is ready to meet President Trump whenever and talk to President Trump once again. Apparently, trade negotiations were going well until this ad was put out there. So we'll have to see how things go. And our illustration for this segment, pretty much the only one we have, is just a timeline of events. There you have it. Ontario airs TV ad featuring President Reagan on tariffs. That was on the 14th. It actually took, I guess, a little over a week for President Trump to say he saw the ad and terminated talks with Canada. Doug Ford agreed to pause the ad campaign on the Monday. On Monday. This was announced on Friday. And on Saturday, President Trump announced the tariffs, and the ad campaign was paused on the Monday. So we'll have to see how things go moving forward. I believe that Canada and the U.S. will get back to the negotiating table. I think right now the president is just doing what he's doing while he's, in Asia. And I think once he gets back, I would not be surprised to see some sort of high-level talks again take place between our country and the U.S. So perhaps this is just a bit of a stall tactic. I'm not sure. But overall, it is obviously in our best interest, in Canada's best interest, and make no mistake about it, in the U.S.'s best interest as well, to get negotiations back on track.